She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy Gazpacho.
Sports can take a lame gorilla, okay?
Advice, did you know that Arsenal died?
These got me buzzing.
Up the Toffees. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm even gonna comment on that. Welcome back to Footy with the boys. We are back after a nice Olympic win and from our last part an Olympic loss, but we focus on the win. That's all we need to focus on, boys, is taking those W's over there in Paris. I believe they actually played in Marseille, but you know, we're saying it's all in Paris. We'll go through some big news. We'll go through some transfer news, and then of course talk all the way through the U.S.'s loss to France and their big win versus New Zealand. What do we need to see against Guinea, and what do we think can happen in the knockouts with the way everything has played out so far? First, the big news of the weekend, boys. Not sure how much you read into this one. Canada, the little maple syrup merchants, have decided to stick their little grubby hands into that maple syrup jar and start flying some drones over practices. I believe Brian McBride on his podcast said that even while he was in U.S. soccer, there were reports from Honduras of them being upset about a drone over their practice. The U.S. had to ask Canadian officials to leave their practice with security guys. Like, what the fuck are they doing? And I guess they've done this quite a bit, mostly on the women's side is what it's confirmed from. But you'd imagine if they're doing it on the women's side, probably on the men's side. We'll see what repercussions happen for the men's side of things. Obviously, they're a host of a World Cup. So there's not many World Cup qualifiers they can really be fined for. Not much they can really have done other than affecting potentially the World Cup. So we'll see what happens there. But, boys, what do you make of Canada using drones to record practice footage? And how much of does that even help that much? Honestly.
Not only is Jesse Marsh a traitor, he's a cheater. This just proves it. Back on the Jesse Marsh hate train because we gotta be. No, this is crazy though. I'm surprised more teams don't do it. It makes sense. I don't know how much of an advantage it really gives you. I think you'd probably know the other team's tactics from watching their other games. I don't think they change in practice all that often. It's a cool story though. I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah, Jesse Marsh we'll clarify, has been exonerated of this, had zero impact. I
don't believe it. Fake news.
What can be said for John Herdman, both the women's and then the men's coach, and he was outed. He had a press conference where he said, I can 100% say we did not use that in the Olympics and the World Cup. Very interesting and wildly specific language for not just saying, no, we did not do this. He said, we did not, I can confirm we did not do this during the Olympics or World Cup. Interesting. Nick, I mean, football, you may be able to get plays and kind of get a read on things, on calls. I mean, Connor Stallions led Michigan to a national title with a little asterisk on it off of that. Soccer, much different. It's not a play. It's not designated moves. What do you even get really from this? You know who's going to be the starting 11 most likely. I mean, pundits can guess that. And tactics-wise, is there really that much you're getting out of this that you're willing to sacrifice the crazy amount of punishment they'll end up getting for this?
I really think it's going to be a crazy amount of punishment.
I mean, they've already gotten 6 points deducted from the Olympics, so they're essentially eliminated from the Olympics.
And their coach got suspended for a year.
It's the Olympics. I don't know. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. So this just looks bad for everyone else. I don't know. Advantage you get, maybe you get their starting 11, like red pennies or whatever, I guess. If they have a very deep team and you're trying to strategize for them, I guess maybe that helps you out. Maybe they just really didn't know what drills to run at practice. And so they were trying to figure it out. And we're like, how do they do it? So, but yeah. All I know is that it sucks for whoever's job it was, like looking through all the practice footage and trying to come up with a presentation to tell the coach to be like, hey, this is what we got. So, no, I don't think it would have helped him out that much. And he definitely didn't do anything, but tough look for Jesse Marsh to just shit on USSF and then, Well, Canada's been cheating.
Canada soccer when they have now a gigantic scandal. Yeah,
Yeah, yikes.
CONCACAF
Very
in
CONCACAF
general.
thing.
Yeah,
Not expected from Canada, but a very CONCACAF move going on here.
yeah. I guess the international response is kind of yours, Nick. Is if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Whatever. That's what you're supposed to do. I think it's more of a regional thing with American sports and cheating and punishments that come from that our media is taking this a lot more. CONCACAF media, Canadian media is taking it a lot more seriously than I guess European media who've come out and kind of like, all right, South American media, all right, whatever. So it's certainly an interesting storyline at the very minimum.
Also,
but
though,
boys,
like,
let's
CONCACAF just got embarrassed at Copa America. And so, like, what do they care? Like, the rest of the world doesn't give a shit what we're doing. They're like, yeah, go cheat. You don't have the players to do it anyways.
Yeah, we'll see if FIFA ends up getting involved. Obviously, there's investigating, seeing if that was on the men's side and outside of what Olympic punishments they've already handed out. Could certainly get up there, and I'd imagine since Jesse Marsh just came in, won't have anything really happen to him specifically, but John Herdman at Toronto FC, I wonder if there's any FIFA-related things happening with him where Toronto FC now needs to be looking for a new coach after they did this whole process of getting 3 Canadian owners to pay a salary. So, or no, that was for Jesse Marsh. Never mind. You know what? Scratch all that. Let's just get into some fucking transfers, boys. I could too much. But boys, let's start with our boy Lenormand to potentially Atletico Madrid. We'll get into a little Fulham here. Sessegnon and Nick, I know this one's going to be tough for you, but Smith Rowe also pretty heavily rumored to Fulham. Lindstrom adding to the Everton activity. They've had a lot of rumors. We'll get through some of the rumors later here with some American players, including Weston McKennie, but also Moussa Diaby making a move to Al Ittihad. I mean, that's just disappointing to see such a bright star moving over there. And then obviously we have Endrick to Real Madrid. And the boys, the question I want to know is, which one of these do we like the most? First of all, Nick.
I know Mike doesn't love it, and I'll let him talk about it. But I actually like the Lindstrom move to Everton. I think he's like a pretty aerially competent player, but also has like a good amount of real technical ability. I know it hasn't produced yet, or at least not at Napoli, but I believe in the kid, and so I think hopefully he'll do some good for the Toffees.
Yeah, I'm not as
Is
convinced.
that the one that has you scratching your head the most? Is Everton's move there?
I might just be naive as an Everton fan and hope for too much. Like, I want a player that I recognize who's got good goal assist numbers to be brought into the club, but maybe we just can't achieve that. So maybe a dude like Lindstrom is more our caliber of player that we bring in. I think he's certainly an upgrade from the other wingers that we have. Definitely over Jack Harrison. So the starting 11 gets better. He does offer some things. It's just, I don't know. He's
It's
not
also, though,
super exciting for me.
I
he's
think
more of a
in the past
midfielder than a
few
winger.
years, it's gone down. Our expectation of transfers, like, I don't think the big names are attracted to Everton right now, and
No.
I think we're trying to find more of the Brighton path of finding maybe undervalued players that can kind of show off once they do get here, rather than those bigger names or kind of more talent that we used to go for. But I think in past years, it's started to take maybe a downturn. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, certainly last season, some of that's money because we don't have anything for a transfer budget. We're negative, and we got punished for it last year, so that plays into it, building a new stadium and all that.
I thought you guys
the transfers
were.
we have made have been really poor.
I thought you guys were going to try and sell that motel of yours.
We should do a little Chelsea sell a hotel for 70 million. All of a sudden, your books are good. I would say seeing the videos of the new Everton stadium, and that will be something else when that is open. We will. I will love to watch Sean Dyche sit back in such a beautiful scene there. Which one of these boys do you think is the most likely to flop? I mean, you have Endrick, the aura player, more so than production player, and then obviously you have kind of some big moves going to Fulham. What do you think is going to be the most likely to flop here?
I think Nick will agree with me. It's Endrick. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I am not buying any of his bullshit. I get he's young, but he's being propped as a prodigy, and I thought he looked horrible at Copa. So and again, that's really the only football I've watched him. Newsflash, I'm not watching Brazil League football, but like I'm not really with it. I also love just how he buys into the hype that is like around him. Like
He
he
does love
loves
his
it.
hype.
And so it is infuriating, and I don't think it's gonna go well. I don't think he's the right mindset, and I honestly don't think he's the right talent either. And maybe I'll end up having to go back on this take. But so how's he gonna play? He's not gonna play.
That's the biggest
what are we
thing.
doing?
He's so
He definitely
young,
loves
though.
it. He loves the
He
show.
has time.
I like the player. I think it's the wrong spot for him. It's so deep right now in the Madrid attack, and all those guys are still very young. So it's just going to be a waning game for him. I think he's very talented, very good, but he's not better than any of those guys currently. So he'll probably have to get loaned out, I'd imagine, or go somewhere else. I don't see him beating out any of them for a year or two at least.
Yeah, the problem is I don't think that Endrick has. I think his ego, because of all this PR, has boosted him above. Oh, we're gonna loan you out to Real Betis, and we're gonna loan you out to some place where you can develop and get playtime. Because Nick, as you said, when the hell is this man gonna play? You have Mbappe, Vinicius, Rodrigo as the front three. That's not changing. He is not breaking into that. And Jude Bellingham also can play that false 9 or the 9 role where he starts getting to the attack. Where is this man at all fitting in? Because they have already so much insane amount of talent that it's not going to be easy to fit this guy in. And certainly at Real Madrid's standard, he's going to need a lot of minutes to develop those skills. And he doesn't have a lot of time to kind of fuck up and fuck around with that much competition. So, I mean, I think in terms of flop of performance, maybe Endrick, but I mean, Moussa Diaby going to Saudi Arabia, is that not the biggest flop just career-wise? Just kind of throwing it away for the money there. And I'll never knock a guy for getting generational wealth for their family, but in terms of legacy, in terms of your career, this is flopping like a fish right here. Going to Saudi Arabia this early, Nick. I mean, what does this mean for Saudi Arabia, for young players like this, just kind of throwing it away that early?
Yeah, I mean, he was really bright at the start of the season. He definitely cooled off after that, and wasn't even starting a lot of games by the end of the season for Villa. And they got 60 bags for him, so basically recoup what they paid that for him. And he definitely, like you said, I'm never gonna shoot down a guy for just securing the absolute most money that you possibly can for you and your family. So shout out to him, and hopefully it goes well. I'll never hear of him again, and that's, I guess, a little saddening, but I'm, whatever. He made a decision for himself. Maybe Etihad can be good this year. I don't know much if they're good or not, but
That doesn't matter if they are or not.
I mean, Benzi, baby.
Yeah. Saudi Arabian League is certainly having an impact on the game, and maybe not the most positive one.
I will say really quickly, just before we move on, the Smith Rowe thing. Emil, my boy, my child.
Oh, give him a tribute. Candlelight
He
vigil.
absolutely. I mean, he was the first guy who really turned everything around. He saved Arteta's job at Fulham on Christmas that I think 2020 season. I think it was. He was incredible. We were stuttering. He was an injection of youth, and I'll always I'll always remember his goal that he scored against Spurs. Just the way he celebrated and what it meant to him. And every time he scored, he was tapping the badge. Him and Saka lying down next to each other. The Star Boys of the future. Injuries took my boy away. They did the same to Wilshere back in the day, to the nth degree. But I do think he's incredibly talented. I think he's going to kill it at Fulham. 35 million isn't a horrible fee for the guy. I think he's going to prove to be better than that. But based on how much he's played, that's a good price. I understand the transfer from all angles. Just really, really sad to see him go. And I know he's going to go smash it. Fulham honestly might be the team I root for outside of Arsenal this year and Everton. But I'm gonna miss him a ton, and I hope he does really, really well. He was a really great guy for the team. He was a really good player. And excited to see him get his chance for sure.
Nick, he's in a better place, and that's
Come
I
to
mean, I
Edmonton,
think we can
lad.
all.
He's not in a
see-
better place. He's in a worse place, but he's in the right spot for his career probably. So hopefully he smashes
He's in
it.
a better place for his career. Let's all take a second.
Also, happy
and
birthday to him.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday,
job.
Emil.
Wow, you know the birthday's there. Before we get into some U.S. Olympic men's national team, youth national team, whatever you want to call it, let's get into the rumor mill. Let's get it rolling here. I'm going to give you guys some transfer rumors here. Let me know which one catches your eye the most or what's the most needed here. We start with Masraoui to Manchester United is a rumor coming up after a failed West Ham move. I will say I've watched him a few times. He is a silky dribbler. Wan-Bissaka at Manchester United to potentially West Ham. Honestly, I think that'd be a decent fit as well. Dubfik, I don't even know how to pronounce that. He was a leading scorer in La Liga. Agrees to terms with Atletico Madrid. They're making some moves here. Atletico Madrid. They have been moving towards a more attacking styled play rather than just the extremely ugly thing that most people are accustomed when you think of Atletico Madrid. Maybe this helps them out. João Felix to Aston Villa. That is certainly something. João Felix has been an enigma of a player that has just kind of bounced around really since he made that gigantic move. And then Ivan Toney to stay after Thiago injury. I'm not 100% sure what that means. And then Chiesa, my boy, my Italian leader, to Spurs potentially. That would be certainly interesting. I've seen him rumored with quite a few people. What are we catching the eyes here, and what do we like to see here, boys?
Dovbyk to Atleti's big. He had a hell of a season last year. I think he's super talented. Atleti needs a striker. Morata moving on, obviously. I like that move. I think it'll work out for all parties.
Yeah. Nick, what catches your eye?
I think the two biggest, in my opinion, are João Felix to Villa. Feels like, one guy out in attack for Moussa Diaby and then one guy in João Felix. I think, with Unai Emery's style of play, I think it could actually be a pretty decent fit. He kind of plays with like two strikers-ish, but one guy's not really a striker, while the other guy's Ollie Watkins, obviously. So I think he could fill that spot pretty well there. And then Chiesa to Spurs. I'm a really, really big fan of the player. It's been like rumored of like in the 20 millions. I don't know how I only really see him play for Italy. And I feel like he's incredible every time I watch him play. So I don't know how his career's panned out at Juventus. His contract's running down, but that feels like a steal for the Spurs. So hopefully that falls through. Only thing I will say is I think personally Wan-Bissaka is a better player than Mazraoui. So I know Mazraoui is very attacking, but Wan-Bissaka is still, I don't know, top 5 1v1 defender in the world, I think. Like he's incredible and would be a really good fit at West Ham.
Yeah, I think he screams a bit of West Ham, doesn't he, Mike?
Yeah. No, it's a much better fit than it was at Man U, where they try to progress with their fullbacks. It didn't work at all. You could see Ten Hag kind of played him out of necessity, but it wasn't a good fit. I think West Ham makes a lot of sense. I thought he was really good at Crystal Palace back in the day. So it's a stronger fit for him. And I think Mazraoui to Man U makes sense for what they're trying to do.
I also will put it on the record. I am very in on Chiesa as well. I think whoever gets him, it's going to be a bargain. Obviously, you do have to pay some large wages that he'll have coming from Juventus, but the transfer fee that people are asking, I mean, it is a deal and a half. I think you get him in the right spot here. Juventus, I don't think is necessarily the best place for attackers, and I think if he can come back and get back to what he was kind of showing like 2-3 years ago, it was $100 million evaluation. So
He'd be electric to watch at Spurs. And that attack?
Yeah, that would be. Whew. I mean, that'd be not a great move for you, Nick, as an Arsenal fan. Although I do think there's quite a bit of a distance, quite a bit of a gap right now between Spurs and Arsenal. So
I'd take him at Arsenal. So I definitely don't want to see him at Spurs.
Hey,
yeah, I mean, definitely.
I'll take him at
Arsenal
Everton.
So you can't get Nico Williams, go for Chiesa, and you have some depth out there on the wings with Chiesa and Martinelli fighting for one spot. But boys, let's get into the Olympics in Paris, France. They have kicked off. The U.S. soccer actually kicked off 2 days before the opening ceremonies. And they kicked off in some not so great way. France beating the United States 3-0 in this one. And quite honestly, that's harsh on the U.S. because for about 65 minutes, it looked like a good game from the U.S. They were kind of sticking in there. They had their chances. France did go on in their second game to draw against Guinea. So how impressive was that 65 minutes of staying with them? Who knows? But the U.S. also had a different result in their second game. They beat New Zealand 4-1. Quite honestly, they could have won 6-0 or even more. But boys, what have you seen? Who do you like the most about this or on this team so far? And what are you looking to see here going into that Guinea game? Mike?
Tanner Tessman, dude. He's fucking legit. He's a boss in the midfield. I liked everything I've seen from him. Defensively, super sound. He presses really high, which is interesting to watch because he is our lowest midfielder, but also gets really high on the press. Covers everywhere. Human. He's huge, really big dude, yeah. And his presence is known.
He's also wildly calm, un-Americanly calm on the ball.
Exactly. And really good on the ball. He makes passes across the field. He breaks lines really well. He links up with Busio. So he's been very impressive. I think most of the teams look good. The shaky parts are really the vets at the moment. I thought the center back pairing hasn't looked amazing. And Mihalovic I thought he looked better against New Zealand. France, he was very shaky.
Yep. Nick, I know you're a big fan of Busio. Obviously goes out injured in this one. Did say after the game that he's fine. It's something he's been dealing with his hamstring previously. So there is some hope that if it is something he's been dealing with, he'll be able to work back. It's not some brand new crazy thing. But Busio's been balling. What have you thought of him so far? Or has there been anybody else that caught your eye?
Yeah, I think Tessman's the obvious one. I think he's stood out a lot, which is great to see for him and his national team career. But you nailed it. I'm a huge Busio guy, and I think that he has proven me right a little bit in these couple of games. So I just like the way he plays. I like the way he's able to turn. He has a very low center of gravity. I'm a sucker for a guy with a low center of gravity who can just turn and run with the ball. That is one of my favorite things to just that. I love when Musa does it. Anytime someone does it, it makes me feel. I'm like, damn, he's dicing. So it's cool to see that their chemistry has come over to the national team as well, or to the Olympic version anyways. But I think, I don't know, before we had this crop of midfields that we currently have that is so highly touted, I guess, Busio, to me, kind of felt like a guy who could explode onto the scene. And, I'm glad to see that he hasn't just regressed or anything. In fact, I think he's gotten better. So hopefully there's some space for him in the future on the actual roster.
Yeah, I mean, both of these players still young. Busio has been kind of in talks for so long because he was 15 when he got signed for Sporting KC and was kind of that wonder kid build-up that maybe didn't pan out to the extreme amount of hype he had. But both of these guys from Venezia performing well. We'll see if Busio can play next game, but honestly, I'm not worried so much about that spot in the midfield because Jack McGlynn's come in and played pretty well there. He's a sniper with that left foot for passes. But Mike, you kind of touched on it. It's the overage player. It's Georgi Mihailovic that gives me the most concern of this team. I mean, you could put in somebody who would do much better. Paxton Aronson's been very good out wide, but is naturally more of a 10, I would say. So if you can put him in there, that gives you the space to put in a Griffin Yao, who got a good assist, has been pretty electric, or Taylor Booth, who also has been great on the dribble. But I kind of want to pick your guys' brains on another player against Georgie, but also Kevin Paredes. He's a generational flopper. He has been drawing fouls like none other. It is Neymar-esque flopping, but he hasn't really shown much else. He was somebody we hyped up to be the star of this team, to be the guy. I've seen a lot of the flopping and the flair from that. Not a lot of the dribbling, not a lot of the end product. He's had some good crosses and certainly some fouls that, get you out of pressure and get you up the field. But Do you need to see more from Paredes for him to keep that starting spot? Because, I mean, Booth and Yao have both been dribbling and going crazy, connecting well. How thin is the rope for both Georgie as the 10? He's an overage player, so it'd be a big move to change him. And then Kevin Paredes, who's been billed as your star. What point do they get maybe rotated out here, Mike?
I don't know if they will get rotated out because the performance was so good against New Zealand. But I have been at least minorly disappointed by Paredes' performance so far. He hasn't had the fight. He's been looking for fouls a lot. He hasn't been continuing dribbles. He's been going down, and he hasn't got the whistle all the time. So that's always disappointing to see when you see a dude go down who could fight through. I think he'll still start. It's clear that he's different. He's got a different level of speed than most of these players. I don't think he's connected overly well with Harriel on the right side. That connection hasn't worked a lot, so there could be a change at right back maybe. Another player I want to bring up before we get away from it, Kramashi. When he came in against New Zealand, I thought he looked pretty damn good on the ball. He's a lot bigger than I thought he was too, so he's more of a presence in the midfield. He is. I'd like to see him more. I know he's a young guy, maybe the least experienced on the team, but he's got something. And he tries.
Yeah, I mean, most of the conversations, Olympic and senior men's national team, it's around that midfield. We're starting to get a lot of people that have some interesting profiles there, and Benjamin Kramashi playing a full cycle down from up.
Which, by the way, is an enormous problem. Because there was talk of like maybe Kevin Paredes can be a backup winger for Copa. Like there was some whispers of that, and the fact that that's our depth at the wing is incredibly problematic. I understand Paxton's looks better on the other side, or that there's Griffin Yao shouts now. Look, the guy holding down the spot is Timmy Weah, and so like I no disrespect to Timmy Weah, but that is not the level of a team that should be doing very well in multiple big competitions. So Paredes needs a lot of maturing before I think he's even like on the cusp of making this senior roster of our real roster. And I don't really see. I mean, I don't know. I could definitely be proven wrong, and I keep saying it's in 2 years, but I don't see him being at the World Cup, in my opinion. So there's a long way to go in his development, is all I'm trying to say.
I think it's all there. That's the positive about Kevin Paredes, is you can see it's all there. You can see the flashes, and when you're evaluating young talent, that is what you want to see, is more the flashes of what that potential can be rather than what it currently is. But yeah, I think he needs to take a rather large leap in terms of start taking people on the dribble more. Let's see that be more successful at the senior level, because it has been mostly a little shake, little blah, blah, blah. Maybe he earns a foul, but he's mostly passing out. He's not going at people. He's not that dynamic attacker that realistically is the reason why he's so highly touted, and he's not really going forward with it. Paxton Aronson has looked like a savvy player. I would like to see him continue to progress here. He's going to be with Taylor Booth at Utrecht in the Eredivisie this year, so I think him and Taylor Booth could both cook for that team. Taylor Booth kind of already has cemented some spots there with winning a Player of the Month in Eredivisie a year ago, so maybe watch that Dutch league for our Americans coming up in the attack. But
I can see Paxton leaping Brendan Aronson in the depth chart like pretty soon.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot more. I don't know.
I don't think it's a crazy thing to say.
Guys, they're doing it against like everyone's against New Zealand's B team. Like, what? Let's relax.
Yeah, but Paxton has been doing this against everybody, really, and he did have some good showings in his stint in the Eredivisie last year, although his team was trash.
People are more down on Brendan than I am. I will say.
I think Brendan, if Brendan can be consistent, we've seen the amount of dribbles that man can do at the highest level that is somewhat absurd. But I think Brendan's also somewhat shown that he's not that consistent, where Paxton, at least at the level he's been at so far, has been more consistent with his type of play. But obviously, we will see. I'm okay with them both being debating for the better brother and hitting high marks. But boys, we do have all these players to talk about. We also have kind of teams to talk about, because Argentina lost to Morocco in their first game in the crazy way that we've kind of already gone through, with it ending but not ending, and then it comes back and VAR, and oh my God, Morocco actually beats Argentina. And so you're thinking, well, France is going to win this group, and so we'll face whoever is in second, and that might be good for us to avoid, or we'll face whoever in first, so we might avoid Argentina. That's good. Group B, going into the final match day, every single one of them is on 3 points. None of the teams have looked especially great. Morocco just lost after beating Argentina. Argentina was struggling with Iraq, although came out on top. The chances of winning a knockout game, Mike, have gone up kind of drastically after watching some of these performances, because it has not been at all convincing. The U.S. obviously looked decent against France, and obviously France has had their own struggles, but looked pretty good against New Zealand, have a pretty good shot against Guinea here. With all these teams in Group B somewhat struggling to put together performances and look complete, I mean, how much of the odds for the U.S. to potentially get to a semifinal and get to a potential medal game here off of that rise after seeing all this?
I think we really just have to focus on Guinea, man. They're kind of scary. I watched a lot of that game against France, and they caught France out several times. Scored several goals that were called offside by tiny margins. So they gave them a real run for their money. France had plenty of opportunities as well, just didn't convert like they did against us. So maybe it wasn't as scary as it might seem. I don't know. But I don't think we're going to dominate. I don't think we're going to do what we did against New Zealand, against Guinea. They have more pace. Their back line's quite a bit bigger. That's where I would focus. I wouldn't look past that at all.
Yep. And New Zealand did beat Guinea.
They did.
But Guinea, I think, does pose more problems. They have a good midfield with Naby Keita, and their back line, New Zealand's back line was, in a word, kind of horrendous. But, you know, Guinea's not going to maybe be as horrendous. Nick, what do you think, if the U.S. get to a semifinal, they get to the Final Four, have then 2 games to earn a medal, what are the odds you're giving the U.S. to beat really any of Group B of Argentina, Morocco, Iraq, or Ukraine could go through here?
I don't know. I guess good. I don't know, brother. If we can medal, I mean, that will be a huge accomplishment. A huge accomplishment. That means that we are winning a medal game. And that will do a lot to boost a lot of these kids' confidence. I don't know too much about Argentina's youth setup, or, I think Japan has won both of their games, right? Like, are they good? I don't really know. It feels like our youth setup is talented. So I am hopeful that we can get to a semifinal game, and then whatever happens from there, we'll really find out a little bit more about this team and this pool of players. But it's definitely not going to be a given. I think I also caught a little bit of that game, and I think Mike is right. Like, we're going to have to beat Guinea. and so far it looks like, we're not really playing down to the level of our competition as our men's national team often did. So yeah, I'm hopeful, I guess you can say. I'm definitely not taking it that we're definitely going to medal. But if we do, I think that'll be a pretty big moment for a lot of these young kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge for just soccer in America too, to rather than having these gigantic failures on huge stages like Copa America, and that's all people see about American soccer. Although this isn't the senior men's national team, most people in the America and just public are not going to really know that. So if they see the U.S. dropping out early in the group phase, or seeing them on the other side winning a medal, it's going to be a massive, oh my God, the U.S. just won a medal. That gets the American media very interested, because what Americans like is winning. We get behind winners. And although this isn't even the senior men's national team, if they see the U.S. soccer men's team now winning something in what Americans see as a gigantic competition, obviously FIFA doesn't even recognize it. Internationally, it's not the biggest deal. For America, for the American market, it is. So it means a lot here for Marko Mitrovic and the boys to get something done here. Obviously, Guinea coming up on Tuesday. Third game in 6 days. Will we see rotation in a must-win game? I think Taylor Booth would be a shout for a good rotation piece. Jack McGlynn for Busio to rest that hamstring. But it has to be on that day. Make sure to subscribe here to the channel. We'll have all the reaction to that game. But before we sign off here, boys, do a little throwback to an old pod classic. A question with producer P.
Oh my days.
Oh my
God.
days.
Hit us, Palmer.
All right. Do we want more of a fun one, or we want more of an actual?
I want you to pick. I don't want any say.
Yeah,
I want the producer P experience.
Okay, you ready?
No.
Boys.
I'm ready. Boys.
Oh no! The zombie apocalypse has just begun. Of the four of us, which of us survives the longest? Who dies first? And would we survive if we had the four of us together?
All right, I want to answer. If we had the
Yeah.
four of us together, we're vibing, dude. We're
We are
chilling.
definitely vibing. We
Yeah.
hit all the different
Lot
boxes.
of
needed
Settlers
for
of
survival.
Catan. A lot of Settlers of Catan. And then if it's between the four of us, unfortunately, it is me who will survive. Die first. I'm giving it to my boy Baby Flax. Rest in peace.
See, I think Mike would die the first.
Oh,
I think Palmer would certainly live the longest because he is out there in Colorado
valid shout.
getting spooky vibes in Airbnbs.
I think Palmer would definitely survive the longest. I definitely think the four of us can get. I mean, we post up at a Costco, it's over. Like,
So,
well,
Dude,
we're
we run
it's
a
over.
Costco for sure.
we will ride out the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Like, whenever they find the cure, we'll be there. So, I don't know who would die first. I think it's definitely between the three of us. I think Flags would most likely die in a stupid way. I think I would most likely die by cornering myself, and I think Mike would most likely die by like thinking he's knowing what he's doing.
Mike's
and
the
then
guy
just-
Mike's the guy that gets bit and doesn't tell anybody.
That's not me, bro.
That's not Mike. No, I think
how
Mike
Mike
Mike's
would
the
die.
guy.
He would dangle his hand over a zombie trying to be funny and then get bit and be like, oh, fuck.
Oh fuck!
No, I think that's you, Flags. I think Mike would die.
I'm too safe about all that. I wouldn't be testing it.
Mike
I think
has
Mike
a
would
legit
die
shout.
because he
He's
had
got
like
the cabin.
Yeah, maybe. I think Mike would die though because he like found a chainsaw and would want to go chainsaw some zombies, and then like
Yeah.
this is not an effective weapon.
He died fighting.
No,
Sure.
dude.
think
Yeah.
Mike
How I would
may be
die?
too aggressive for a zombie apocalypse. He may try and just go get kills rather than. See, I'm a bush camper. He's
You are a bush camper, dude.
For
yeah.
sure.
That's why I survived, brother. You go out there,
Yeah.
you're trying to hit the 30 bomb, and all of a sudden you get bit. It's GG.
I'm trying to hit parkour, dude, and I probably off myself. I probably underestimated or overestimated jump.
No zombies involved. He just jumps around.
I'm trying to speed run, dude. Trying to hit Pack-a-Punch and Juggernaut the same round.
There goes the
Didn't go
ACL
well.
on the ankle. He goes, fuck.
But if we were separate, Palmer's truck gets him to survive the longest on its own. Like that's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, he's just
He's
driving.
just running
Palmer
through it.
I
is
do have the most
Tallahassee
tools.
from Zombieland.
Yeah.
Palmer is Woody Harrelson.
I have the
That's-
most
that's-
tools
yeah.
at my disposal as of right now.
exactly.
true.
So
Yeah.
Well, I guess
I mean,
the point is then if it's a zombie apocalypse, we all hold tight and Palmer scoops us and then we're set. We find a
Dude,
Costco.
fucking stay there, boys. I'm coming.
I think that is the plan of how us all four definitely survive. Is
Gonna road
Costco
trip to
or Olive
Cali.
Garden.
I'm gonna road
Well,
trip to
friends,
Cali and then road trip back to Chicago. Both of you.
Easy.
here's how Mike actually dies. Palmer picks us up. Me and Flags get in the cabin. Mike's like, I'll ride in the trunk. and then like, he'll ride in the bed. And then he'll either fall out or a zombie will just get in the bed. And that's,
Damn, dude.
Palmer will be like, well,
Wildly
shit, I guess Mike's
specific
gone.
way.
Well, that was a bad idea.
Yeah, Palmer will not, like, Mike will fall out and Palmer will not stop.
Yeah. Did you guys
dude.
hear something?
There's men left behind in the zombie apocalypse. That's how it goes.
Palmer does not take the no man left behind motto. He is saying there are men that need to be left behind at certain points, and he runs with it. But boys, what a wonderful question with producer P. We'll start integrating those more. Let us know in the comments who you think would survive if all four of us would survive off of the knowing you have of us through these podcasts. Let us know what you want to see, what type of content we should do some videos on, what we should talk about, and just comment on what you think of the new rebrand as well. Mike, Nick, final thoughts, starting with you, Nico.
Shout out to the Gunners who picked up a 2-1 friendly win versus the Man U and then lost in penalties because we're just doing penalties for fun. So shout out to the boys. Good to see the hitman, Gabby Martinelli, back on the score sheet. The Gunners, baby.
Shout out Celtic. Mike, close us off.
Up the Toffees, per usual. Riveting preseason fixture of Irish teams, 4th division teams. We're really testing ourselves early, which is good to see. Shout out the Spurs for picking up a trophy against Vissel Kobe. That trophy cabinet is filling up slowly but surely. Shout out Walker Zimmerman for a big boy goal. If we get a medal, Walker Zimmerman's going to the World Cup because he's earned it. Thanks for checking us out, boys. Until next time.
I don't know if I endorse that message, but peace.